So, let's imagine you're trying to climb a very tall mountain. The first part, the initial climb, is the hardest. It's exhausting, and you have to push with all your strength. But once you reach the top, the view is incredible, and going down is much easier than climbing up. Making your first million is like that steep climb up the mountain. When I made my first $1 million at 18, it was like being halfway up that mountain. It was tough and required a lot of energy and dedication. And guess what? It was that way for a good reason. It's because the beginning is always the most challenging. Think of an old car that needs a lot of energy to get started. At first, the car makes a lot of noise and seems like it won't make it. But once it starts moving, it becomes much easier and smoother. The same is true for making money. At the beginning, everything seems complicated and exhausting. You need to put in a lot of effort to start seeing results. But then, as you climb the mountain, things start to get easier. Each step you take, each new million you earn, becomes smoother because you've already overcome the initial challenge. When I started, I was thinking exactly this: why is it so hard in the beginning? And now I understand that the difficulty is a normal part of the journey. The important thing is that after making that first million, you've already conquered the hardest part of the climb. Every year, earning money and making millions becomes easier because you've learned how to walk the path. So, if you're just starting your own climb up the mountain, know that it's normal for it to be hard at first. Just keep climbing, and in time, you'll see that things will get easier. And just like I kept climbing, you will also make it there. Let's quickly talk about what makes the first million so difficult, so you can better understand where you are in your journey and relax a bit. Remember, this is part of the process, and over time, things will get easier. The main reason why the beginning is so challenging is something called inertia. Simply put, inertia is when something at rest wants to stay at rest. Imagine you're trying to push a car. At first, it's very difficult because the car is stationary, and you need a lot of force to get it moving. But once the car starts rolling, it's much easier to keep it moving. Think of an airplane. When it takes off, it needs a lot of energy to get off the ground and reach cruising altitude. In the first few minutes, the plane can burn a significant amount of fuel just to take off. But once it's in the air, flying becomes much more efficient. The plane uses less fuel to stay at cruising altitude. It's exactly the same with making money. In the beginning, it's like trying to lift an airplane. It requires a lot of effort and energy. But once you're in the air, everything gets easier. You already have the momentum and the resources needed to keep moving forward. The same goes for you. Right now, you're still on the ground and need to burn a good amount of fuel to start climbing. But don't worry. The idea is that once you get past this initial phase, maintaining growth will be much smoother. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to overcome this tough phase and reach the cruising altitude of millionaires. That way, you'll be able to continue your journey with more ease and enjoy the ride. First of all, stop only looking at big names like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. Instead, take a look at athletes like Messi, Hamilton, and Federer. You might think it would be amazing to have a chat with them and hear what they think about life. But let me tell you something. I know a lot of these athletes, and during the season, they're some of the most focused and least fun people you could meet. They're so immersed in their training and diets that they don't have time for gossip or movies. They go to bed early and treat their bodies like real temples. These athletes don't live a balanced life full of fun, and guess what? To reach your first million, you'll need to dedicate yourself with the same intensity. It's not going to be a life of parties and entertainment, especially at the beginning. To make real money, you'll need to focus entirely on your goal. It's not the most comfortable way to live, but it's necessary to achieve your goals. In the first 6 to 12 months, you might lose some friends, not learn that new language, or not hit your best performance at the gym. It's like a flight. In the beginning, you'll need a lot of fuel to take off. After that, once you're in the air, everything gets easier. I personally went through this between 2017 and 2019. During those years, I had no hobbies, didn't meet up with friends, and didn't watch new shows. But when my career took off, I was able to return to those things and still made more money. So, if you're just starting out, know that you'll need to say no to many things that aren't directly related to your goals. It's a necessary sacrifice to achieve success. Now, let's talk about how to actually make money. But first, I want to tell you an interesting story. Have you ever heard of the Duke of Wellington? He's very famous in the United Kingdom, and in London, there are even statues and pubs named after him. He's known for defeating Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. But here's an interesting fact. When he was young, the Duke of Wellington was a great musician. He spent all his time playing the violin and was even considered a musical prodigy. However, despite that, no one believed he would succeed. After being rejected in a marriage proposal and being called a failure, he decided to change his life. He took his violin, went to the fireplace, and burned it. Why? Because he realized that although he loved playing, it was just a hobby. To achieve great goals, he needed to focus on something more important. And that's exactly what he did. He dedicated himself completely to his true mission, and as a result, became a significant historical figure. This story shows that sometimes we need to leave behind things we love, but aren't essential to our bigger goals. I also have my hobbies, but I keep them separate from my main objectives. If you want to make real money, it's important to focus on what will truly get you to where you want to go. Keep hobbies as hobbies, and don't let them steer you away from your main path. As you listen to all this, it might seem a bit strange to think that you still have TikTok or Instagram on your phone, unless you're using them to make money. We live in an attention economy, and there are tons of companies trying to steal every second of your time. Meta and TikTok hire the same people who design slot machines to make their apps irresistible and addictive. To reclaim your attention and focus on what truly matters, you need to be willing to remove those distractions. I remember when I was 14, and I was completely immersed in social media and video games. I would buy Instagram accounts, play FIFA Ultimate Team on PlayStation, and even make money trading players and selling coins. But even then, I realized that all of this was pulling me away from my bigger goals. I knew I'd rather spend my time playing than doing anything constructive. You might be wondering if you should do the same. I'm not saying you should destroy your PlayStation or get rid of everything all at once. Let's start with small steps. Take your phone and delete any app that doesn't contribute to your goals. If Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok aren't helping you reach your objectives, delete them. If, on the other hand, you're using those apps to make money, keep going, but stay focused on what really matters to you. Let's talk about something important. If you're on Twitter or TikTok just to scroll through random stuff, ask yourself, is this really helping you? Think of it this way. If you had a friend who only took things from you without giving anything back, would you still want that friendship? So why do you stay on social media without a clear purpose? Sure, I'm on these platforms too, and you can follow me there, but if you're not using social media for something useful, maybe it's time to take a break. And don't be fooled, distractions aren't limited to technology. Maybe your friends are inviting you to parties, games, or to go out and drink. I'm not saying you should cut these people out of your life, because sometimes it's great to have fun with friends and relax. But for a while, you need to be aware that your friends might not be on the same wavelength as you. So, think carefully. Is it worth spending 7 hours socializing and then dealing with a hangover every week right now? Now is the time to focus. You're trying to lift an airplane, and you don't want to do that in the middle of a storm or with the wind against you. It's time to focus and work hard. Distractions can wait. Look, it's important to understand that this level of work and dedication isn't something you can maintain forever. If you try to be completely dedicated all the time, you'll end up getting sick and becoming someone hard to be around. That's why it's essential to set realistic goals and know when it's time to take a break. A common mistake is making plans and predictions that are completely out of touch with reality. Maybe you've seen someone comment that they'll be on a yacht, smoking a cigar, within a year. Well, the truth is that's unlikely. It might change in 3, 5, or even 10 years, but in the short term, it's important to have more realistic expectations.
Aqui está a tradução para o inglês.
I've been through this myself. 10 years ago, I watched people on YouTube and thought how amazing it would be to meet them. Now, some of those people have become my colleagues. Things take time, and you might not become a millionaire in a year, and that's okay. What defines being a millionaire is actually having $1 million in hand, and that doesn't happen overnight. It might not be realistic to achieve that in a year unless you already have an established business. But what you can achieve in 5, 10, or even 15 years might surpass your wildest expectations. For those with big dreams but no realistic plan, you're missing the main point of this video. Starting is the hardest part. Think of the first 10,000 rays as the most difficult. After that, inertia, the difficulty of getting started, begins to decrease. And remember, setting realistic deadlines is essential. I'm not saying you should work hard for 3 months and then give yourself a week off. It's a biological fact that no one can maintain such a high level of focus and determination for long periods. We need friends, distractions, and moments to relax. So, work hard, but also take care of yourself and keep your expectations aligned with reality. So, when someone says they've been working non-stop for 2 years, I know that's not quite true. Everyone needs time to relax and recover. Let's tie all of this together. You may have heard me talk about the monk mode. It's a technique I've been using for almost 5 years. Although today I'm in a position where I don't need to work all the time to keep things running, I still go into monk mode a few times a year. This means a period of extreme dedication and focus, where I remove all distractions and become highly productive. And why do I do this? Because after these intense periods, I enjoy going out, socializing, and enjoying life without guilt. But for you, starting your entrepreneurial journey means something a little different. When I talk about entering monk mode, I want you to understand that it's not just about working hard and making the most of your time. It's also about taking care of all areas of your life. This means applying the same commitment to your sleep, diet, and body that you apply to your work. For most people, this means eating healthier, sleeping more, and maintaining a simple exercise routine. It's not about having a chiseled body while making your first $10,000. It's about supporting your mind and body on the journey. So, the main message of today's video is that, yes, in the beginning, things are hard. I won't lie to you and say they're not. But that's part of the journey. And while it's challenging now, the good news is that once you lift the airplane and reach cruising altitude, it will require much less effort to keep it in the air than to get it off the ground. Apply the principles I've mentioned, and over time, you'll find that keeping your airplane in flight is much easier. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and remember, I'm cheering for you, even if you see me from afar.